Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Wednesday. It is hump day. Hump day, hump day, hump day. Anyway, we're here. It's Wednesday. This won't be a very long show. These are just kind of reminders of what we need to do to take care of ourselves, okay? And Self-Care Wednesday is the reminder for you, if you're watching this, that you need to implement some of that self-care into your life and just find your center, find your zen, find your stuff. So I saw this a couple weeks ago. A friend of mine on Facebook, Debbie Hall, posted this. And I really, really liked it. And I meant to save it for Self-Care Wednesday. And then everything kind of went in different directions. So let's just jump right in. How to stay positive, all right? Because positivity is a huge part of self-care. It's really, knowing that you deserve self-care, knowing that it's okay to take care of yourself, that self-care is not selfish, it is necessary, and it really is necessary. Sometimes we go and we go and we go and we go and we go, and we take care of everybody else, and we forget to take care of ourselves, right? And you don't want to do that, because that's when you feel depleted, that's when you hit bottom, when all that, everything just feels like it's going out of control because you're not taking care of yourself. So, positivity is a huge part of that. How to stay positive. Number one, change your thoughts. So if you feel, we were talking about this, the last couple of days, about, how to negate a bad thought, right? So I know that, sometimes we'll sit there and go, the whole idea of the body mindfulness series has been to really kind of pull ourselves out of the negative thinking and put ourselves into the positive thinking, into the mindful thinking about, just being okay with, or being cool with where you are at this moment right now. And we sometimes forget that. And so our negative thoughts, if things don't happen in a certain amount of time that we want them to happen, we might sit there and go, oh, I'm not worth it. But you are worth it. So change your negative thoughts. When you feel something negative coming up, flip it. Okay? Flip it. And, that doesn't mean, that it's not something that it's not a well, how do I put this? It's not, a feeling that should be ignored. When you're feeling bad, you should really kind of figure out, why do I feel this way? Why do I think this way? But if it's one of those fleeting moments where you're just so kind of trained to be negative, to think negatively, you need to change your thoughts. And that's why we have to practice. So even if we're feeling horrible, like I was talking about on my show this week, this last weekend, like Saturday through Monday, was kind of hit or miss with me. I was just kind of not in a good place, but I kept telling myself, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You just got to ride through this. And for me, that wasn't saying I'm never going to get out of this. I'm stuck in this rut. I'm blah, blah, blah. I hate my life. Yada, yada, yada. And we do that a lot. And we'll say that, yeah, I hate my life. I mean, come on, we're human. We're human. We're going to say things. But when we're consistently being negative in our lives, when we're consistently putting ourselves down, that can start to affect other people, because your insecurities can hurt other people. Maybe by the things that you say. Maybe you're not feeling all that, fresh and amazing, and somebody comes along and just pushes that wrong button, and you might just go off on them, but it's not them. You're mad at something, but you don't know what it is, so you're just taking it out on the nearest victim in a way. It just kind of like punching blindly. And so you don't want to do that. So whatever it is that you have to heal that might be causing this negative thought, go in deep and heal it. But remind yourself that you do have to start changing your thoughts into something positive. Into saying, hey, you know what? I'm going through this right now, but it's going to be okay. I just have to figure out how to get to that point. And sometimes that finish line might move. But keep moving forward. Never give up. Don't quit on yourself, okay? Number two, accept the situation. Sometimes that's exactly what we have to do to change that thought. With the body mindfulness, it's like I said, body negativity doesn't care what size you are. Okay, it doesn't care if you're a 0 or a 24. I said this yesterday. What it does care about is how low it can make you feel, how bad it can make you feel about yourself, how awful and horrible. And, I knew somebody that was basically a size 0, but they had to wear a size 2 because they were tall. And that would always upend them. Like, well, this isn't my size. It doesn't fit well. And finally they found a place that actually catered, because I mean, you know, 20 years ago, it was either short people or tall people. There was nothing in between for the people in between the short people and the tall people. So people like me and people like super tall people were always upset. But, the tiny little people in the middle were kind of like, we're forgotten. All the 5'7" through 5'8" people, they're just kind of like, oh, what about us? And yeah, and it would kind of upend them because no matter how cute their figure was, they just put themselves down all day. They didn't think they were enough. And that was conditioning from somebody else. That was conditioning from life experience of people putting them down and making them feel horrible about themselves. And sometimes they would turn around and, they would just make fun of somebody else and, and they grew out of that. But, you just, like I said, it doesn't care what size you are. So sometimes you have to accept the situation as it is. If you're in a place that you don't like, accept where you're at and then change it. Change your thoughts, right? So accept your situation because maybe that's what you need to dig deep into, right? That when you're changing your thoughts, what is causing this thought? Are you trying to avoid something? Sometimes we have to stop running from something and turn around and run at it in order to be the victor over whatever this negative thought is. And it can be scary. It can be scary because, a lot of times we're used to running from it thinking that we're going to get away, but we're not. It's like I said yesterday in yesterday's show. It's running 10 feet behind you. When you stop, it's still 10 feet behind you. But you can turn around and close the gap and say, look, you know what? Enough. All right. So number 3, remind yourself that you can handle this. You can handle this. A big part of the body mindfulness, the second half of the series, has been about shadow work. And shadow work can be scary. Shadow work can be really kind of freaky and difficult. And it can dredge up things that you don't want to dredge up, right? All that muck and that ickiness and that grossness. So if that is something that you plan on doing and you're not sure that you can handle it, I suggest, I can't tell you what to do, but I suggest maybe seeking out therapy or professional help, okay? Because these people are trained to help you navigate these situations. They're trained to help you move through whatever it is that's hurting you, that's, causing all this pain to come up. You can do these things online now, and they're making it a lot easier for people, because I know there's still a really big stigma on it. And the whole part of the Aloha perspective really is to try to stop that stigma, to end that stigma, to just say, no more. People sometimes need help, and that's okay. We shouldn't be afraid to ask for help. But if you still are not convinced by that, find a friend that you someone you trust, that you can talk to, that's not going to go blabbing all your stuff out to the world, that will just sit there and listen. And just tell them, I don't want you to fix me. I need to do that myself. Because sometimes when we do have people close to us, the first thing they want to do is make everything better for you. And that's understandable because they care about you. But when it comes to these kind of deep things, sometimes we do need to take care of it ourselves. But it doesn't hurt to have a companion along for the ride to make sure you don't fall down that hole, right? So, but in the long run, remind yourself that you can handle this. There may be times when you feel like you can't. Maybe you're crying. Maybe you want to scream. Maybe you're, at a punching bag and punching the punching bag, and you're letting off all that steam. You're letting off all the stuff that's been inside of you and trying to come out for a long, long time. So remember, this too shall pass, and you can handle this. You can handle this. And don't be afraid if you need help handling it, because there's no shame in that. All right. Number 4, breathe. We forget that sometimes, right? If you feel like you're about to lose your shit, or your ever-loving stuff, stop and take a deep breath. Count to 10, count to 20, count to 30, whatever it does to get you back into your head. Because sometimes when we're angry, we might knee-jerk and say something we don't mean. And even though you apologize for it, you can't unring that bell. People still hear things, all right? And sometimes it might hurt, and it may be absolutely something you do not mean. But again, you cannot unring a bell. So just try to take that deep breath first, okay, and approach the situation in a very calm manner. And that can help you stay positive. That can say, hey, you know what? And you know what? Sometimes when we do that and we take a step back and we don't say the first cruel thing that wants to come out of our mouth, we actually find a reason to be proud of ourselves. Like, oh my gosh, maybe I am turning this around. Maybe I am turning this whole negative thing around. So breathe. Number 5, stay humble and transparent. So stay humble. Don't lie. Don't lie. Lies, lies snowball sometimes. And I get it. Sometimes we might white lie, right? We might white lie. And those are pretty much understandable because we don't want to hurt people's feelings or we don't want to say anything bad. But I'm talking about the big picture, right? I mean, I don't generally white lie to anybody, and I mean that. If I'm giving a compliment, I mean it. Okay, if I'm not giving a compliment, I'm either not paying attention or I just don't think it warrants one. And it's not meant to be mean. It's just I really do try to live my life as transparently as possible. Because I've hidden so many things in my life before, with the trauma and everything. And I don't want to live that life anymore because it's so hard trying to keep a secret or trying not to say something or this, that, or the other. I mean, if somebody asked me to keep a secret, I'm like freaking Fort Knox, okay? It is not coming out. You are not getting it out of me. But when it's talking about stay humble and transparent, it's saying just, be you. Be your authentic you. Don't pretend to be somebody else. Don't think you're better than anybody else. No one is better than anyone. Everybody brings something special to this world. Okay? Everybody. I was told that once when I thought I wasn't good enough for something, and I was told, you know what? Stop it. It was actually older sibling's mom that told me that, Mom Barbara, and she told me, she's all, you need to stop that. And she literally wagged her finger at me. She says, you are no better than anybody else and nobody is better than you. We all bring something special to this table. We all are here for a reason and we all bring something special to the table. And you have to remember that. So I don't think it's bad to ask people to stay humble and transparent. I think a lot of us really kind of run through our humility. I think the majority of people are humble. We try to just be this good person, this wonderful, kind, loving person, but sometimes we feel, to get other people's attention that we have to be a certain way, that we have to act a certain way. I mean, how many people have gone out on a date, right? And you have to wonder how many people are being, authentic and, transparent. And then maybe you have another date and then slowly all the walls start to break down and everybody starts seeing the real you. Or maybe you start seeing the real person across the table from you. And it may not be the person that, you started, getting connected to because maybe they don't like all the things that you said you liked. And that doesn't mean it's going to end. Just be honest. Be honest from the beginning. Don't order the salad, order a meal. It's okay to eat on a date. I know we have all these things where it says, I haven't dated in years and years and years and years and years. And I mean years and years. I haven't dated since my last boyfriend, and that was quite a bit of time ago. But I see other people, and I know it's kind of weird because people tend to sometimes come to me for relationship advice, and even though I haven't been in one in a very long time, I seem to be okay because I would say my success rate isn't that bad because you're looking at it from outside of the box. How would you want to do it? With all these life lessons we learned, how would you handle this situation? How would you want someone to treat you? How would you feel if this were you? And it's not about telling somebody what to do. It's about saying, ask yourself these questions and then put yourself in the other person's shoes. Just be yourself, be transparent, be humble, be kind. That's all you really need to do to stay positive is just be humble and be kind, because when you come up with these big elaborate lies, eventually they're going to crackle and they're going to just break apart. They're going to crumble hard. And you don't want that to happen to you. Okay. So number 6, change what you are focusing on. This really kind of goes with number 1, change your thoughts. What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on everything you don't want because you don't have it? Or are you focusing on the things that you do want? So when we focus on the things we don't want, that's exactly what we're going to get back. You know, think about those days when you're having a really great day and everything seems to be going perfectly. You're like, oh my God, I had like the best day of, the best day of my life. And, you know, you go back and you think, oh, well, this was just a good day. But you can pile on those days. Maybe you woke up in a great mood. Maybe you had a wonderful dream and you're like, yeah, you're riding your high on your dream. Or maybe, you know, you went to work and all the traffic just moved away right in front of you, right? Like magic. And, you know, or maybe you didn't notice it because you were in such a good mood. Those are the things we have to do. We have to focus on what we do want, not what we don't want. Because again, like I said, when you focus on what you don't want, that's exactly what you're going to get. Now, when you're focusing on what you do want, you know, if it becomes a prayer or an intention or a manifestation, just remind yourself this or something better, okay? Because what is meant for you may be different from what you're asking for. But also, you can sit there if you have a bad thought that comes up in your head. I do not wish to manifest this into reality. But when you are manifesting for something you do want, you know, this, you know, for the greater and highest good of your life. You know, I'm so happy and grateful that everything is turning out wonderfully for me for the greatest and highest good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And sometimes that can help. That can help put you in the mindset because you're not particularly asking for anything, but you're trying to keep yourself in a good place. And like I said, if there are things that need to be worked through and moved through, work through it and move through it. But always hold on to that positive thought and, you know, follow it. Because that's going to help you through that darkness. That's going to help you find that light. You know, because sometimes we have to hold on to that positive thought. Think of the positive thought as being like that light, that sunlight right at the end of the tunnel. You're in a big dark cave and all of a sudden there's a pinprick of light at the end. Just keep following that path. But you have to be brave enough to walk through the cave and that tunnel to get to that light. And sometimes that's what we have to do. We have to face our biggest fears and we have to challenge ourselves to move through all this emotional muck that we might be sitting in, that we might be stuck in. So, you know, change what you're focusing on. Now, just as a couple of follow-ups, make a list of ways that you can be nice to yourself today. Well, depending on where you are in the world when you're watching this, you know, maybe you can make it for tomorrow. But yeah, make a list of ways that you can be nice to yourself today. I think that's a great one. And do it every day, even if you repeat your list, you know, and check it off as you go. And do something that makes you feel calm and relaxed. Do something that makes you feel calm and relaxed. Sometimes it's all we have to do. Okay, just do something that makes us feel calm and relaxed. So those are your tips. Those are the self-care things for today. And really kind of think about all these things, okay? So sometimes it can be scary, but it can also be great. All right, so I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll see everybody back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public. Anybody can watch under Shelley Marie Lucas, or you can find me on my YouTube page and my Aloha Perspective Facebook page. I also do, for the body mindfulness, I also do the, the TikTok version, which is a very short version of all of this, okay? Have a great, great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.